NSFW, what's the biggest red flag you've ignored because the sex was good? She basically told me she might cheat on me if she had the opportunity with her ex. It was my first relationship and I was as stupid as can be. Well, at least she was honest about being a piece of beep before you had to find out via heart. Not sure if her telling you up front is being a piece of asterisk. It's being honest, as you say. Not all relationships are one-to-one, and her being candid gives off the chance to say, that's not for me, or, I'm okay with that. Was hooking up, very casually dating a guy I'd met on Tinder. I had a cat at the time, and was leaving for a long weekend, so asked him to feed the cat. I came home and he had moved into my apartment. Like fully moved in. His clothes in the closet, his sheets on my bed. He'd brought furniture from his parents' house, and he put his high school hockey trophies on display in the kitchen. I regret to say it lasted several months, but it did not end well. What a This was brilliant. Probably the plethora of empty wine bottles around the apartment, and the knowledge that she'd just gotten out of a long-term relationship. Somehow it never dawned on me that I was the rebound guy. I got to be that guy recently. It beep sucks. We talked for a month online. She felt like the best friend I never had. Constantly sent pictures of our lives back and forth. Show up at her place to meet her. She's been drinking for a while but seems okay. She was in the hospital the next day with alcohol poisoning. I've got my own drinking issues, but I can generally keep it under control pretty well. After that, she pretty much admitted she wasn't over her ex, and we agreed it wasn't the right time. She was my ex-wife's husband's ex-wife. Did you meet while dropping off kids for custody? Definitely underrated comment. She got annoyed because I told her about a coworker who felt bad about cheating on her BF. She said, just keep beep on the DL. Nobody has to know if you keep your beep asterisk. Immediately knew someone else was deep in her guts. Deep in her guts sounds like a slasher film. His ex kept showing up at his place. Come to find out months later, they were still together and just fighting. And I was the unwitting other woman. We were in a hotel and she would just keep screaming at the top of her lungs. I kept telling her to quiet down, but instead that only turned her on more. Only continued because she was my girlfriend at the time and it was pretty good beep for me as well. Dated a chick who was an opera singer for a while. Man, would her voice carry. NGL sounds kind of a turn-on, as much as it also sounds annoying, not caring that I hadn't gotten the results back from an STI test after I was sexually assaulted. This needs more recognition. She stared at herself in the mirror during fully moaning and coming, but would never break eye contact with her herself. Even when I stuck a finger up her NGT, would never break eye contact with her herself. Even when I stuck a finger up her beep. That's a challenge if I've ever heard. She called me N-word all the time. We are not black. I had a friend who was dating a very sweet black dude. She called him the N-word constantly. He was too polite to ever correct her. She ends up pregnant by cheating her ex-BF, and the day he was gonna propose, she dumped him and told him she was pregnant by the other dude. Broke the poor man's heart. He stopped taking care of himself and sadly he passed away about 3 years later. When she kept asking for specific things like finger me like this or grab me here when you beep. Yeah, of course she was getting those ideas from her boyfriend. Marriage, always riding that fine line between this again and where the beep. Did you learn that from a friend? She kept beep my friends. Sounds like you have some bad friends. That era was a blur of poor choices spiked with intermittent ecstasy and momentary terror. I'm not sure how I got through it. You could write a movie based off that description. Well written. A bottle of whiskey consumed every night. She told her friends and family that she got pregnant and lost the baby when we weren't even having unprotected. I mean, we were 18 and dating for like 6 months, so that wasn't even close to being on my radar. When I found out through a mutual friend, I laughed it off and didn't think much more of it. It took a few more blatant red flags before I pulled a fun little bonus detail. When I broke up with her, she told all her same friends and family that she was pregnant again and I bailed on her and the baby. I lost a lot of good friends from her lies. Also, in hindsight, the beep was average. If they believed her, and not you, then they were not good friends. Just keep moving forward, smiley face. He legitimately believed his beep was self-lubricating. Well, technically, she was a racist asterisk. Always said she was joking, but I later found out she was entirely serious. Did she start everything with, I'm not racist but happy cake day? She and her little brother always seemed suspiciously close. Not like super nice to each other, they just had a weird dynamic. Like he would hear us beep through the wall and bring it up casually the next day, and they would both just laugh and make creepy jokes about it. After we ended, I was convinced they were beep each other. To be fair, I've never heard any corroborating evidence, but I'm still not unconvinced. Just like this girl I was seeing, she wouldn't stop talking how hot her younger brother was. All her profile pictures were with them snuggled up, and her wallpaper was a picture of him. Sure, I don't get it. What? He told me he didn't smoke cigarettes when we met, and then a week later he did because his friend started up again and needed emotional support because he didn't want to smoke alone. He also straight up told me that if this one friend didn't like me, then I wasn't allowed to be his girlfriend. It red flagged a bit in my mind because I was like, what's up with this control freak friend and why do you obey him? And then I just ignored it for 6 months. His friend would almost never speak directly to me, but I was always getting. Friend says you don't have to hang around if you're not going to play beer pong for 3 hours for the 4th time this week, or we don't have enough controllers for the Wii U, so if you want to play. Friend says you have to buy your own controller because we can't share. Friend says that you and I can't hang out today because he's upset about etc. Anyway, whatever the deal was with this friend, the smoking thing was definitely in part an excuse, because it quickly became clear that he was an addict. He literally needed to smoke something like every 45 minutes to an hour, and we couldn't go anywhere because he'd start getting cranky. Not like he ever had money to go anywhere because he had like a dragon's hoard of weed to maintain. Anyway, he ghosted me because his friend told him to. I'm sure I was devastated. Lol. Getting beep vibes from this dude and his friend. In private we had outstanding beep, and in between we talked constantly, but in public, including around our respective families and or friends, it was literally like I didn't exist, to the point where people frequently wondered and asked out loud if we were even dating or if we were faking it just to be. Oh god, so much obsessiveness, narcissism, codependency, overt stupidity, laziness, lack of ambition, all kinds of stuff. Same. Unfortunately, I not only lusted after some of these people, but felt like it was love. She was in recovery for drug addiction. Told me she loved me after less than a month of dating, went back on it and said it was because she was sleepy from melatonin, but then genuinely said it again within a week. Lol, but she was a freak in the sheets and had a nice beep, so I went. The fact that she admitted she was emotionally damaged after her parents' divorce. It happened at a very sensitive time for her. All that basically drove her into her making the worst decisions she has ever made. It was like that until I came in the picture. At the time, I ignored it because she was good, but she meant that much to me. Things eventually didn't work out because we just kept fighting. I eventually gave her an ultimatum, me or the dark path she is going down. I didn't want to do that because I was basically gonna be controlling her, which isn't at all like me. When she told me she didn't know, I made the toughest decision of my life. I still question my decision to this day, and every girl I dated since hasn't worked out. She haunts me every day. I always think to myself, if I couldn't be a good, supportive influence in my greatest love's life, what makes me think I can be that to someone else? She could have thrown the Russian flag, Chinese flag, etc. at me. I still would have ignored it, and now I'm paying a huge price for it. If you could give so much love to the wrong one, imagine how much you'll give to the right one. A quote I found on Reddit one time. That he wouldn't have beep with me. The foreplay was amazing and there was so much chemistry, but he wouldn't put it. Turns out he was engaged. My friend telling me she was a piece of devil beep always trumps the red flags, unfortunately. He would let his garbage overflow and never take it outside. His kitchen was gross. So much drug abuse. He was a plug. Dated again. Within a week he was sending me pictures of him slitting his wrists and saying he could get anybody killed. I ran the like asterisk oh if I could write an essay in response to this. I dated a lass who was a compulsive liar. It was like blatantly obvious to anyone who met her that she was a bit mental. She wore a giant like Matrix-style overcoat which had a rainbow-colored tail hanging from the At the same time she was a legit 10, like supermodel material. 6'1", perfect skin. Unrealistically, I am not a 10, haha. I couldn't even believe she was into me, so like she could have stapled a red flag to my forehead and I'd have pretended I didn't notice. She told me so many random things, like she wrote a novel when she was 4/5. Her mum was a semi-famous model in the